Hello, my most beautiful besties in the entire world. I am so excited for today's video because we're sitting down to rank every single palette that I tried this year. I counted, I think I have over 105 palettes that I tried this year.
Damn!
That's a lot. That's a lot. I did this back in the summer. I ranked every single palette that I tried so far, and that list has changed so much since then. So sit back, grab a snack, besties, because this is going to be a long one. Alrighty, so before we dive into the ranking, I actually have some palettes sitting in front of me that are not going to be featured in today's video because frankly, I haven't tried them and I don't want to put them in here unfairly since I haven't given them a chance. But I will say I'll make a point to try them within the next few weeks so we can rank them in my next year's ranking. So up first, we do have the Sugar palette. This is from ABH. I did buy this on the TikTok shop because it was on sale. I bought both for like 30 bucks. I have both the Sugar palette and the Spice palette that I really want to try out. I heard amazing things about this particular palette. I heard that these were so good that they were absolutely well worth the price point. So I'm really excited to give these a go. They look absolutely phenomenal and beautiful. So we're definitely going to have to try these out so I can feature them next year. But I want to show them off because they do deserve to have their moment. Up next, I do have the Lynn's collaboration with Glisten Up Cosmetics and with Blend Bunny Cosmetics. This is Lynn's makeup looks. She did a collaboration with both Blend Bunny and Glisten Up, and I didn't get a chance to try this collection. So I definitely want to give it a go and try it out, and I'll feature it in next year's ranking. But I will say I'm still really proud of her. This collection's available now. These are magnetic. You guys can stick them together. I thought it was a really cool concept that they did this. So really super cool. So I just want to go ahead and show this. I also had the brand new Ultra Ego Sundown palette. I believe this is a dupe to the ABH Fall Romance palette. If I had to guess, I feel like that's the vibe that I'm getting from this particular palette. This is available out. This is available now. You guys can use my code Allie. Save you guys can use my code Dawson10 to save 10% off. Again, I didn't get a chance to try this, but I'm really excited to give this a go and let you guys know my thoughts. Up next, I do have the Unearthly Cosmetics. This is going to be just a taste palette right here. This is a beautiful vampire inspired palette. It's like a mix between like Halloween and Christmas. It's a very gorgeous color story. I heard nothing but amazing things about this. I never got a chance to review it. Mine did show up literally like a week and a half to like 2 weeks ago, if that, and I just haven't had time to film. But I will say it's really gorgeous. I'm super excited to give this collection a go. Up next, I do have the Cosmic Brushes. This is going to be the Sinister palette. Now, this came in my Halloween mystery box, but I didn't get that mystery box until sometime in late November, so I didn't get a chance to play with this palette just yet, but I will say it's a very beautiful style Halloween-esque palette. You guys can best believe I'm going to be playing this so that I can feature it in next year's ranking and just to try it out because it looks absolutely beautiful. Up next, I do the Inslee Rain Harvest Moon palette. Now, I did try this palette off camera, but never actually got a chance to do anything with it on camera for you guys. So I did buy the Cold Moon palette. So as soon as that one comes in, I will do a review of both, let you guys know my thoughts because these palettes are officially back in stock, and I really wanted to play this palette last year when it came out, but I never got my hands on it, and now I officially do. And I actually have quite a few guys DM me and ask me to do a review of this or tell you guys my thoughts on this, so I definitely want to do that for you guys. So this is another honorable mention. Up next, I do have the Singe Beauty Galactic Visitor. Unfortunately, my palette has yet to arrive. I know it's scheduled to be delivered to my house within like the next 2 or 3 days based upon the tracking, but by the time I'm filming this video will be live by the time that palette actually gets here because I am pre-filming this. So unfortunately, I will not be able to feature it in today's ranking, but I wanted to have an honorable moment for it because I'm so excited for my beautiful friend Angelica Nikvist. I've seen it, like the samples of it in person. It always looks so gorgeous. I've seen her reviews. I've seen other people starting to get their palettes. It looks really pretty. I'm so excited for mine, but we'll definitely be featuring it in next year's ranking. And then last but not least is actually what I'm wearing my eyes right now. We do have the new Lunar Beauty. This is the Day and Night palette. Now, I just tried this like literally for the first time today, so I didn't think it'd be fair for me to rank this based upon me just now trying it, but I am wearing the Day palette. All I'm wearing is the shade right here called Magnitude, followed by the shade called Bratty. That's literally all I'm wearing. All I'm wearing with a little bit of Lumos right here in the inner corner and just kind of tapped in the center. It is a really pretty eye look. It's super easy, super natural to do. Like super easy, super quick to do. The formula reminds me so much of the Moon Prism palette. And the color story reminds me so much of the Moon Prism palette. Like truly, I don't really see too much of a difference between the two, but I definitely said I was going to review this for you guys. I just haven't had the time, but I do still want to do something with this for you guys to give you guys my thoughts. So that's why I'm not featuring it in today's video, because I just feel like it would not be fair since I just tried it out for the first time. It's cute, but I don't know if it's really worth it, in my opinion, price point wise. So those are all the palettes that I just want to give a quick honorable mention to. And now let's go ahead and dive into the ranking. I'm going from my least favorite to my absolute most favorite. So starting off at number 105, we do have the Little Mini Dream palette from Natasha Denona. Now, I have to say, I absolutely do love Natasha Denona's formula. There's nothing wrong with the formula in this palette, but I feel like for me, I bought this because I felt left out. I saw every one of my freaking friends, buying this palette, showing off reviews, doing gorgeous eye looks, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, obviously I need to have this. I'm missing out. I bought it. I tried it several times. I hated every single one of my eye looks. It could not look pretty on me for some reason. I didn't get the hype. I did not get the hype with this palette. It's too expensive for what it is. There's only 2 shimmers, 3 mattes. And I just felt the shimmers were a little lackluster compared to the actual My Dream palette. And knowing that I have majority of these shades in that palette, I just felt like this was a whole waste of my money. I did not care for this. And I actually ended up decluttering this. If you guys did not see, I recently posted my entire eyeshadow palette collection declutter. I had 457 palettes. I decluttered it down to 357. We're going to be working towards next year to decluttering even more than that. But I have to say, this was just not it for me. So she did get decluttered. So that is why at number 105, we do have the Natasha Denona My Mini Dream palette. At 104, we have the Ofra Cosmetics. This is going to be the Self Love palette. Now, this is supposed to be part of their like Valentine's Day collection. And for me, I just felt like this palette was just missing something. It was missing it. I feel like these 2 shades, I feel like this shade right here was just kind of thrown off. I didn't think that a Valentine's Day palette should have a brown. They had the pink. This should have been more like a red. They should have had a little bit better of like shimmers. I feel like the shimmers in here are definitely more on the lackluster side. I did have to go in with like a little highlighter to help to make the shadows pop just a little bit more in the lid. I just really was not impressed with the quality of this palette, which is really weird because I really do like Ofra's quality, but for this one just wasn't doing it for me at all. I didn't really necessarily care for the color story. It was a cool concept, but I just felt like they could have done it differently. I even said that in my video. They could have done this palette, this mirror keeps going away, this palette differently, and they just, I don't know, they feel like they kind of dropped the ball on it. So definitely not one of my favorites. So coming in at 104, we do have the Self Love palette from Ofra Cosmetics. Coming in at 103, which is really shocking because you guys know how much I love this brand, but this palette just was not it. And it's the Glamlight Kiss collaboration. First off, the outside packaging was super cool. I love the concept of you opening this up, and this looks like this could be like a vinyl player. You have the Kiss band right here, which by the way, I was never a Kiss fan. They were way before my time. I just never listened to them. Nothing wrong with them. I just don't listen to their music. I love the idea of the palette being a lenticular motion. So you see rock and roll, then you see kiss, rock and roll, kiss. Really cool. For me, it was the color story. I just could not get into the color story. I don't know if this really represented Kiss in the era of Kiss with all the different palettes that, or all the different albums they launched. I don't know any references to that, so I couldn't tell you whether or not this was good or not. But I feel like the color story looked a lot like the Glamlight Friday the 13th collection mixed with a little bit of like Freddy Krueger in one. I feel like we've seen this color before, but it wasn't just the color story that really did it for me. It was the shades themselves. I just felt like Glamlight kind of dropped the ball on this formula, and I don't understand why, because they really have phenomenal formula. But I'm noticing over the years, some palettes feel different than others. Other palettes have this really luxurious, amazing feel to them, really beautiful quality. But then palettes like this feel like their older formula, like stuff that they used to create way back in the day before they did kind of reformulate their products. And I just felt like this was one of their older formulas. It just didn't feel like Glamlight quality. So I was not impressed with this whatsoever. It was patchy. It didn't swatch good. The shimmers did not last very long. They're not creamy or buttery, and I just really could not get into this palette. So that is why at number 103, we do have the Glamlight Kiss palette. Coming in at 102, we have the Alter Ego. This is going to be the Mystique palette right here. Now, I have to say, I did not like this palette. The color story is gorgeous. I thought it was a really gorgeous color story, but I had to work so hard to get the colors to work for me. I literally had to dig into these shades to get them to blend and to get them to actually show up in the lid. And I've never had difficulty with Alter Ego's formula before, so this one really kind of threw me off with how difficult it was to work with. And I just felt really, really, really underwhelmed by this palette. And I know this is supposed to be like a dupe of like the Natasha Denona Circa palette. I never owned that palette, so I never really got the dupe of it, I guess. But I just felt like the quality was very, very, very underwhelming compared to so many of their other palettes. I was like, dang, what happened? Not my favorite. So that is why at 102, we do have the Alter Ego Mystique palette. Coming in at number 101, we do have the Makeup by Mario. This is going to be the Neutrals palette. Now, I bought this because I felt like I was missing out. I saw all the big influencers buy this, review this, to like doing a look with like the smoky gray right here. And I thought, oh my God, I need to have it because every influencer has shown me that I am missing out. They sold me on it. They sold me on it. I fell for it, especially on TikTok. And I got this and I was very underwhelmed. Now, I'm not saying the formula in here is bad because Makeup by Mario has some fantastic formula, but I just felt like this palette is not for me. It's very, very lackluster. It's supposed to be a Master Mattes neutral palette, so it's supposed to be great for transitions or for using this to create a really beautiful neutral eye look, right? I totally get it. If you are a makeup artist or you love neutrals, this could definitely be the palette for you, but for me, that is neither. This palette was just something that I felt FOMO on and I bought it and it was just a waste of my money and I just did not love this at all. I didn't really know what to do with it necessarily. So for me, just not a fan, but I do love Makeup by Mario, but for me, this was definitely not it. So coming in at 101, we do have the Makeup by Mario, the Neutrals palette. Coming in at number 100, we do the Polite Society. This is the VIP palette. I was so shocked when this showed up in my house because I was like, I had no intention of buying this. I was like, wait, what? I thought this was really beautiful. I remember seeing Michaela Nagori on TikTok do a really beautiful eye look with this, so I got really excited. Then I got my palette, and this shade right here was completely shattered, and it's not the brand's fault. It just happens. I was able to somewhat press it back together, but you know, after playing with it, I was just kind of like, oh, it's cute, it's pretty, but it's not all that cracked up to be. Like, the formula just felt decent. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. There's nothing that actually stood out for me. And even though it is a neutral color story, there are moments where I do love to have a neutral eye look, like obviously, but I just felt like this just wasn't giving. This just wasn't giving to so many other palettes I've tried this past year. So that's why it's a lot lower in the list. Nothing stood out about it for me. I remember I tried it, played with it like 2 or 3 times, and I just kind of forgot about it. So that's why I also decluttered it. So coming in at number 100, we do have the Polite Society. This is going to be the VIP palette. Coming in at number 99, we do have the Little Angel palette right here. This is called the Eden's Angel. This is from Flower Nose Beauty. I have to say the outside packaging this palette is just absolutely gorgeous. Flower Nose and Florasis make some of the best like intricate packaging and designs in their palettes. They truly do. But for the reason why I have this ranked so low is because of the color story. Now, I will say the palette itself is gorgeous. It's so beautiful. But just knowing that like I have to work really hard to get this to work just makes me want to go, oh, it's just not worth it in the end. The mattes are really pretty. They blend out really nicely. And the shimmers are gorgeous, but you have to work to build it up. I don't want to have to work hard to build up an eyeshadow look. I want it to be easy, one and done, on the go. I'm not going to sit here. I don't want to sit here for like 10 minutes just trying to get a matte shade to look like it's on the lid without sitting here digging into the palette. And that's kind of what I had to do. I had to really kind of dig in here. And I understand why, because this is a very minimalistic makeup brand. So the less is more for them. And I completely respect that. But for me, just knowing that knowing how the price point is and all the palettes I tried this year, it just really did not stand out for me other than just the packaging itself. So that is why at number 99, we do have the Eden's Angel palette from Flower Nose Beauty. Coming in at number 98, we do have the Weeping Willow. So this is going to be another palette from the Little Angel collection. Again, I love the outside packaging. So gorgeous. And the colors from the inside is definitely one that I'd be a little bit more attracted to because it's more of like colorful looks. But again, I had to work so hard to get this palette to work for me. I really had to dig into these mattes and into those shimmers. I had to work a little extra harder, and I just don't want to work hard to create a really pretty eye look. I just feel like there's so many other palettes out there that just work better than this one. And while it's really beautiful, I love the concept, I love the design, it just wasn't ultimately worth it in the end. So that is why at number 98, we do have the Weeping Willow palette from the from Flower Nose Beauty. Coming in at number 97, we do have the Flower Nose Beauty. This is going to be the Midsummer palette. Now, again, I'm not trying to talk bad about the brand because they make some amazing stuff. But for me, I just felt like this palette is just very, very lackluster in color story. They did send over other colors that I really love a lot more, but I haven't actually had a chance to try it. They're actually sitting over there in my collection. I didn't show it. I don't know why I didn't show it. This is the other version I sent over. It's a really pretty green palette, but I haven't had a chance to try that. So I will next year so you guys can see it in my ranking. But look at how gorgeous that is. It's a really pretty green palette. So I guess I could put this in my honorable mention. But this one to me was just a very, very lackluster because it's just more of just a neutral palette with just a pop of shimmers, but even that shimmer barely showed up on my lid, even with glitter glue. I tried hot glitter glue and just was not working. So that is why at number 97, we do have the Flower Nose Beauty. This is going to be the Midsummer palette. Coming in at number 96, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics. This is going to be part of the travel collection. It'll be like the OSLO palette. Now, I physically do not have it here to show you guys because I did declutter this palette, and I actually went ahead and gave it to a friend. I gave away like quite a few palettes already to some of my friends who I know will get a great use out of it, and this was one of the palettes I did give away. For me, I'm just not a big fan of the Nomad Cosmetics travel collection. I talked about this in my palette declutter. There's something about their 6-pan palettes that I just feel is very different versus their full-size palettes. I feel like the formula is different, the shimmers are off, and I just don't really care for the color stories. So for me, I just felt like this was a very underwhelming collection, and this color story in particular was like the least underwhelming to me. This color story is like the least prettiest of the three of them, so that is why it's a lot lower on the list. So coming in at number 96, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics OSL palette. Coming in at 95, we do have the Nomad Canadian Air palette. Now this one I thought would be a little bit more for me because it's on the green, like Rocky Mountain side, but again, I just felt like it was lackluster to me compared to so many of their other formulas and palettes out there, especially ones I've tried this year. I just really couldn't get into this. I really tried. Some people out there loved it, and I just wish I was one of them that could love it. It's a cool concept. I love the idea of a traveling palette, but for me, I just couldn't get into it, so I did went ahead and pass that on to a friend. So that is why at number 95, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics Canadian Air palette. Coming in at number 94, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics. This is the like Abu Dhabi palette. Now this one intrigued me just a little bit more. I felt the formula was a little bit different compared to the other two, a little bit more on like the neutral S side. Surprisingly, I liked the coral more than the green, but again, I just felt like it was a very underwhelming palette. I just did not get excited for that collection, and it's sad because I love the brand so much, but there's something about these palettes I'm just like, I don't know what they do differently. They just do something differently that just does not excite me in the slightest. So that is why at number 94, we do have the Nomad Abu Dhabi palette. Coming in at number 93, we do have the Flower Nose Beauty. This is going to be the Strawberry like Moon palette. Now, I really love the eye look that I created with this. I thought it was super pretty. But man, if you actually watch the video, I worked so hard to get that eye look to look pretty. I really sat there and was building up and building up and building up and trying to lay down a lot of glitter glue to get these two shimmers to perform. And while they look really beautiful on the lid, I don't want to have to work that hard. I truly don't. I love their concept. I love their designs, but I guess I just expect more because of all the indie brands that I do play with. So for me, while I think it's really pretty, it just was not what I was looking for ultimately in the end. So that is why at number 93, we do have the Flower Nose Beauty Strawberry Moon palette. Coming in at number 92, we do have the Ultra Ego. This is going to be the Daylight palette. Now, I think this is a really pretty outside packaging palette. I truly do. The colors on the inside is just very, very neutral-esque. And there's nothing wrong with neutral shades. But for me, for someone who loves a lot of color, I just don't gravitate a lot to this palette. I truly don't. I think this is supposed to be a dupe of like the Natasha Denona I Need a Cool palette, as I think I Need a Nude palette. I think that's what this is a dupe of. And since I have that palette, I really do enjoy that one way more than I do enjoy this one. It's really pretty color story. You can create everyday neutral eye looks with this, but for me, I just don't find myself reaching for this at all. I look at the color story and I'm like, yeah, she's pretty, but meh, like that's how I feel. And I feel bad because I love the brand, but I just felt like this was just not giving it to me. So that is why at number 92, we do have the Daylight palette from Alter Ego. Coming in number 91, we actually do have the Gourmand Girls. This is the Gourmandies palette. Now, this is supposed to be like an ice cream summer vibe palette. It's pretty. I like the eye look I created with this, but I just feel like compared to all the other palettes that Gourmand Girls released this year, I don't know. This one doesn't excite me. I look at it and I'm just like, it's pretty, but it's not that exciting. I just don't find myself getting inspired by this palette. I look at it like the formula in this, but I just don't really gravitate to this a lot. It's not wowing to me color story wise. I just don't get excited when I look at this. I kind of think it's not the most appealing to me. And I just like my eye look, but not enough to want to keep this palette. I end up decluttering it. And after all the palettes I tried this year, this is definitely the least wowing of them. So coming in at number 91, we do have the Gourmand Girls Gourmandies palette. Coming in at number 90, we do have the Mist Haven palette. Now this is from Alter Ego. And again, this is a palette that I did pass along to a friend. It is a really pretty palette. It's supposed to be a play on the Huda Beauty Pretty Grunge palette. For me, it's very, very, very basic neutral shades that I just realistically don't really wear that often. And I feel like these particular 3 shimmers that are in the middle, I just had to work a lot harder to get to work for me, and I don't know why. I really had to dig in there. There's something about this particular formula that just reminded me of the Mystique formula, where it just wasn't wanting to perform. I had to really work hard to get those shimmers to work. I shouldn't have to. I should be able to just lay it down with a finger and not really need glitter glue, but it really did need glitter glue, and even then it was still just like lackluster for me. So that is why at number 90, we do have the Mist Haven palette from Alter Ego. Alrighty, coming in number 89, this is where things start to take a little bit of a turn. I don't hate these palettes. I don't hate any of these palettes I tried. Well, there's some that I do. But I don't really hate some of these palettes that I'm going to be talking about. I just find them to be the least exciting versus the other palettes I will be talking about. So this is just kind of an order of how I feel. So coming in number 89, we do have the Shake It Up palette from Essence. Surprisingly enough, when it comes to Essence, I really don't care for a lot of their complexion products and like face products. But their eyeshadow palettes, they do a really good job on. This is like the 3rd Essence palette that I've tried. And their formula is actually really quite nice for a drugstore and for it being so affordable. I'm kind of like, dang, at least they bring it for the eyeshadow, because the rest of the stuff I'm not a big fan of. I think this is a really pretty palette. I have nothing bad to say about it. It performs really nicely. I just feel like out of all the palettes I've tried, there's other ones I do prefer more than this. It's a really pretty color story. I did enjoy playing with it, but I just feel like it doesn't bring it compared to some of the palettes that I will be talking about. So there's nothing wrong with it. I did enjoy this while I played with it, but it definitely was time I let it go. So coming in at number 89, we do have the Shake It Up palette from Essence. Okay, so coming in at number 88, this collection in particular caused so much drama for various reasons, but it is the Glamlight Coca-Cola collab. Now, I reported the news and my new makeup releases. I tell you guys about the drama that I see, because like, why not? It's part of the makeup community. Let me tell you what I see. And Glamlight had a lot of drama with this particular collection. They said that this was their collection from hell. This is also a collection that launched exclusively on the TikTok app, to which they later on said wasn't supposed to be on there. It's supposed to be everywhere, but Coke is the reason why they didn't launch on the website for like a little bit later. Drama unfolded, and yeah, whole fiasco ensued from it. But I still bought the collection myself. I didn't get in PR. And I really did love the outside packaging. I thought the outside packaging was really cool. It looked like a little Coca-Cola machine. I opened up the palette itself and I just was like, oh, boring. Well, I mean, I get it though, because it does fit the color, it does fit the Coke schemes. But you know what's really crazy is that like, I never got this collection in PR because it said that everybody that was supposed to get PR was supposed to get vetted, and Glamlight was supposed to pay for like the influencers to get PR, like $500 per person. I never got it, but I did see people on TikTok actually did get it. So I don't know if they actually sent it or not, or they bought the PR box. There was no PR box for me when I bought the collection, but I didn't really care. It is what it is. But I just felt like this collection, it was cute. I like the concept of this, but the color story is just not really color story I gravitate to. I find reds to be the least flattering on me. I don't really get excited about a lot of reds. There's something about it that I just feel to be intimidating. If I'm being completely honest with you, I find reds to be intimidating because a little bit can go a long way. You can mess it up very quickly. It can stain the lid. I'm just not the biggest fan of reds overall. So while the formula was actually not bad, and I did enjoy reviewing this, I just feel like compared to some of the palettes I tried this year, she just wasn't giving. She wasn't giving. So that is why at number 88, we do have the Coca-Cola collection with Glamlight. Coming at number 87, we do have the Glamlight Cherry Coca-Cola palette. Again, I love the packaging. It's super pretty. And I will say out of the 2 palettes, I actually preferred this one a little bit more because it does offer a little bit more variety in tones. Has a little bit more of a pinky shade, some purple shades. I'm really starting to like purple a lot more on me. But I just felt like, again, this was kind of just underwhelming compared to some of the other collections I tried out there, especially from Glamlight this year. Glamlight's made some really, really fun, amazing collections, and this to me just wasn't it. The vibe just wasn't it. The looks were pretty, but just, again, not it for me. So that is why at number 87, 7, we do have the Cherry Coke palette from Glamlight. Coming in number 86, we do have the Betty Boop collection from Glamlight. One, I love the outside packaging. It came in like a little TV box right here to make a classic TV. I thought that was so cool. I did love the lenticular motion feel. But the reason why it's a lot lower on the list, it's all red. It's why I didn't buy, it's why I never bought the Glamlight Scream Remastered palette. I do still intend on buying it. I will buy it at some point because I want it for my collection. But I just don't gravitate to reds. I think the look like it was pretty, but I just find these shades to be just so intimidating. Ones I'm just not really drawn to a lot. It actually kind of reminds me of the Blood Sugar palette from Jeffree Star Cosmetics. I just recently decluttered that because I forgot I had it in my collection, and this kind of gives me the vibes of it a little bit. Pretty formula, really, really, really pretty formula. Just was not my color story. So that is why at number 86 we do have the Betty Boop collection with Glamlight Cosmetics. Alrighty, so coming in at number 85, we do have Into the Wild by Florasis. Now this palette's really pretty. I did enjoy playing with it, but only thing that stood out to me about this palette were just these two shades right here. These two shades stood out to me. Everything else did not. They were a little bit more on the lackluster side in terms of pigment, and I just felt like I really had to work hard for them. I love the intricate design, and I feel like that what makes this a little bit higher on the list was how well these two performed. These two shades right here performed so beautifully. I love the eye they created when playing with these two, but the rest just really wasn't giving. So I didn't want to rank this higher in my collection video. I didn't really rank this higher in my ranking video because if the whole palette doesn't perform, I'm not going to rank it higher just because two shades do. So it's really pretty. I did have a lot of fun playing with this, but the only thing that's really saving it was just these two shimmers right here. Everything else was just kind of mediocre. So coming in at number 85, we do have the Into the Wild palette from Florasis. Coming in at number 84, we do have the Little Maria palette from Game Beauty. This is part of like, I think it's Attack on Titans. I don't know if I'm right. I'm not entirely sure. I really do love Game Beauty. They have really hit and miss palettes, but I just feel like the formula in here is really nice, but the color story just isn't. I feel like the formula in here is really nice, but the color story just isn't as wowing. And I just noticed I'm not the biggest fan of small palettes like this. For me, this will get lost somewhere in my collection. And I just don't really gravitate to these a lot more than I would other ones because they are so tiny. I do tend to forget them. They're really cute. I love the concept of it, but I just felt like compared to some of the palettes I tried this year, not on the wowing side, does not stand out. So coming in at number 84, we do have the Maria palette from Game Beauty. Number 83, we do have the Rose palette from Game Beauty. This was a 3-part series, and again, really pretty, definitely more on the springy vibe. I love this shade right here. Had a lot of fun playing with that, but again, I just felt like this palette was underwhelming compared to so many other shades out there, or so many other palettes out there. I just not the biggest fan of like the quad palettes. Just nothing wrong with them. It's just, again, they are definitely going to be forgotten. So coming at number 83, we do have the Rose palette. And coming at number 82, we do have the Senna palette. Now this is a really pretty palette, definitely perfect for fall. You can create a really beautiful look with this, and I definitely did. I really loved how this palette turned out. Definitely stands out more in terms of my fall ranking compared to all the palettes I've tried this year. It stands out more that way. Other than that, it just being a 4PM palette, it does get lost amongst the many, and I just feel like it's a cute color story, but definitely not one that really stood out to me a lot this year. So coming at number 82, we do have the Senna palette from Game Beauty. Okay, so coming at number 81, we have Ha 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 Ha. This is the Twilight palette with ColourPop, and this is the reason why Glamlight is doing their Twilight collaboration. Although they're doing Breaking Dawn, I think part 2 from what I saw in the packaging. But I have to say, I do think the outside cover story is really pretty. The inside cover story is really pretty too. It looks like the first movie. They literally captured their first movie. And then you open on the inside. I love that they have, and so the lion fell in love with the lamb. Love that you have the metal scene right here. And the formula wasn't bad. I just feel like it's just lackluster in terms of the color story. The formula is great, but the color story, it was not exciting to me. It was boring, and I get why they created this story. It was to match the aesthetics of the first movie, but the aesthetics changed so much when they got a different director from second, third, and fourth. They got like a different director. So the first movie director, she got booted, and I just feel like this color story just doesn't really scream Twilight to me. It screams Twilight movie, but not really Twilight book. But maybe they're going more for the movie aesthetics. That could be what their vibe was. I just did not love this. It's a cool tone, muted color story. And then normally I don't mind those, but something about this, I just wanted more. I wanted more out of a Twilight collection, and they didn't get it. They didn't give it. So hopefully Glam Light will, and they'll do it right, but yeah, this wasn't it. So coming number 81, we do have the ha 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 Twilight palette from ColourPop. Coming in at number 80, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics. This is going to be the Florida Keys palette. Now, I'm from Florida, and I love Florida, and I loved the idea and concept of this. The colors on the inside, it's definitely a little bit more thrown in here. I do like how you can kind of have like the beach side right here and like the ocean side right here. I do think it's a pretty palette, but I think out of all the Nomad palettes I tried this year, this one was the least exciting for me. I've tried other palettes I think were just a little bit more exciting in terms of like color story and whatnot. And it's pretty. It is really pretty. I did enjoy the outlook I created with this. I did like a beach side and like an ocean side. I just feel like out of all the palettes from Nomad, this one was the one that stood out the least. So that's why it's definitely further down on the list. But coming in at number 80, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics Florida Keys palette. Coming in at number 79, we do have the Aptly in Love palette from Too Faced. Now, I really want to love this palette because everybody out there loved the palette. And I do think, one, it smells incredible. It smells like caramel apple. It smells like fall. But for me, it's just the color story is a little lackluster. I just felt like uninspired. I didn't really see summer. I didn't really see like fall with this. I saw mostly just a neutral palette with like 2 or 3 pops of colors. That's pretty much it. Nothing really stood out about this palette in terms of fall. The smell, sure. The names, sure. Color story, not so much. Not so much in my opinion. I really wanted to love this. I did not compare to other ones. So it's really cool. I liked the eye look. I tried implementing the green, but again, I tried creating some sort of fall palette look with this, a fall inspired look with this, and I couldn't. Very uninspired. So that is why at number 79, we do have the Aptly in Love palette from Too Faced. Coming at number 78, we do have the Urban Decay Naked palette. Now, I never had the original palette, so this is my first time really kind of experiencing it. Now, everybody said this was a new remastered formula, so I never got to try like the original formula. I will say the color story is pretty. It was not wowing to me because again, it's just more on the neutral side, and you guys know I like neutrals, but not enough to want to rank them a lot higher. It just kind of depends on the quality and like the formula. And for me, this was just very, very basic. I get why it was as big as it was back in the day because you didn't really find palettes like this. So I understood why this was so viral, why everybody loved it. Everybody always reviewed it and ranked it. And why this went viral again this year because some people wanted their hands on it. And as someone who never experienced it, I did enjoy it, but not enough to want to put it higher. So that is why at number 78, we do have the Urban Decay Naked Original OG Mastered palette. Coming in at number 77, we do have the Lawless. This is going to be the Dreamy Dozen Volume 2 palette. She's cute. She's a cute little palette. It's my first time ever trying anything from Lawless in terms of like an eyeshadow palette. I was not disappointed, but I was also like not wowed either. I thought the formula was standard. It reminded me of like Urban Decay or Too Faced or NARS. Like it just had very, very like basic high-end formula where they're not the most wowing. It's just like a signature formula. I feel like you guys know what I'm talking about. It just kind of reminded me of that. Pretty color story. I like the idea of it and I liked playing with it, but I just felt like it didn't stand out enough for me to want to be like, oh my God, I have to like rank this higher because it's pretty, but just underwhelming in terms of like the formula in my opinion. So coming in at number 77, we do have the Lawless Dreamy Dozen Volume 2 palette. Coming at number 76, we do have the YSL Clutch. This is going to be in the shade or in the style 100. These are really pretty. These are easy to take on the go. I like the eye look that I created when playing with this. It's very easy, very effortless, but nothing really stands out too much with it other than it's an easy travel palette. For me, I think that it's way too expensive for what it is personally, but I liked playing with it, but I just didn't feel like it was like the most wowing thing. I feel like there are other palettes that just performed better than this for the same price point, that this was just cute, but not worth the price point. So I really like I said, I like playing with it. I like the color story, but it just doesn't stand out enough to me to want to put it higher. So that is why at number 76, we do have the YSL Clutch in the style 100. Coming at number 75, we do also have another YSL Clutch. This is going to be in the style 300. It's a little bit more on the gold tone side. Really nice for like the New Year's Eve season. But again, this palette just doesn't really stand out as much. You have 3 mattes, 1 shimmer. The shimmer, you definitely need to use glitter glue to get it to lay down and just kind of sparkle on the lid, depending on what you're going for. I like a more sparkly lid. So for me, I had fun with it. But again, it doesn't stand out enough for me to want to rank it higher. It's nice, but not higher than that type of nice. So coming in at number 75, we do have the YSL Clutch in the shade 300. Coming in at number 74, we do have the Ultra Ego Wildwood palette. Now this is a really gorgeous color. Like, this is a really gorgeous packaging. I think this is really pretty. And the color story on the inside is really pretty as well. This is supposed to be a dupe to the Natasha Denona Yucca palette. And I really did have fun playing with this. I love the eye look. I thought the formula, I love the eye look I created. I thought the formula in here was quite nice. I just feel like other palettes stand out more. If you never had a chance to play with Ultra Ego, this would be the palette. This would be a great palette to play with because the fact that it's a great dupe to the Natasha Denona Yucca palette. And I feel like the formula is actually quite similar, and it's a third of the cost. Really, like, third of the cost, but it was fun. I did really like this palette. I just like other ones more. So coming in at number 74, we do have the Wildwood palette from Ultra Ego. Coming at number 73, we do have the Gourmand Girls collaboration with Stess Beauty Stash. This is going to be the Nueve Vida palette. And I have to say, it's a pretty color story. Definitely more on like the more like jumbled side in terms of like how it's like laid out. For me, when I see kind of like scattered like this, I have a harder time kind of looking going, okay, what type of eye look I'm going to create, because like it's kind of scattered, and I always get a little like hesitant when I see shadows that are scattered, because it takes me a lot longer to look at something going, how am I going to do an eye look? What type of cohesive eye look can I do? What can I mix and match, because of how it's kind of scattered? But you know what? That's how they designed it, and it worked out perfectly for them. The color story itself, like the colors itself are really pretty. I just feel like the way that it's kind of just thrown in here is a little off-putting for me. But I will say the formula was incredible. I think Steph did a really great job at kind of capturing the essence of what she loves. And I feel like they told a story with this palette. So that is why at number 73, we do have the Gourmand Girls Nueve Vida palette. Coming at number 72, we do have the Sigma Beauty. This is going to be the Cool Neutrals palette. Now, I had a chance to see this palette in person at like a launch party that I thought was really cool. It's a really pretty neutral palette. You're going to have a mix between warm tone and cool tones. They base this palette upon like, what are these called? Like marble granites and stuff like that. I remember that being like a thing that they base it off of, like rocks and like gemstones. Essentially, I think that's what they're trying to do. Remember, that's what they're trying, I'm not thinking of the correct word, but that's what they're trying to do with this. The formula was really, really nice. This was the first time I think Sigma had changed their formula, because I've tried like the Cinderella palette prior and I was not the biggest fan, but this kind of changed my mind. I thought it was a really beautiful color story. I like the cool tone with the warm tone shades mixed in here with little pops of colors. I thought Sigma did a really, really good job with this one. So that is why at number 72, we do have the Sigma Cool Neutrals palette. Okay, so coming in number 71, we do have the Sigma. This is the Little Mermaid palette. Now, I loved this palette. I thought it was such a fun, unique color story. I love the little multi-chrome. I love the little dual chrome they had in this palette. I had so much fun with this video. I had so much fun with my eye look, and I just really, really, really love this palette. So for this point on, this is where it starts to get hard for me, because I love everything about these palettes coming from this point on. So for me, it's just more of what I kind of prefer more, but the formula in here is incredible. The color story is incredible. Concept, everything. I love this palette. I just feel like there are other ones that I love a little bit more, and I really liked the little dual chrome in here, and I feel like they did a good job capturing the essence of Little Mermaid. So that is why number 71, we do have the Little Mermaid collaboration with Sigma. Coming number 70, we do have the ColourPop collaboration with Stranger Things. First off, their outside packaging is super cool. I love the TV aspect of this being a throwback. I love that it says, chapter 1, 11/6/1983. I believe this was the day that Will Byers went missing into the Upside Down. I love when you open this up, you're going to have the boys writing to the Upside Down, essentially with like the opening, and then you open this up, you're going to see the Demogorgon and then the Upside Down right here. I thought it was a really cool concept. The first half looks like it's Hawkins. The second half looks like it's, the Upside Down. And I just really enjoyed the idea of this collection. I love Stranger Things so much. I'm so excited for season 5 to come out this coming up year. The last and final season, such a fantastic show. But I just felt like this palette was super cool. I feel like ColourPop did a really good job with this one. They really did. Other ones just stand out a little bit more to me in terms of formula and stuff like that. But I think for a collab or like a licensed collab that ColourPop did, I think they really did this one really, really good. They did it justice. I was very, very proud of them. So Coming in at number 70, we do have the ColourPop Stranger Things collaboration. Coming number 69, we do the Nomad Cosmetics. This is the Chicago Speakeasy palette. Now, I liked the outside packaging. This reminds me of like the Great Gatsby era. And they open the color story up, and it's a cute color story. It definitely is a cute color story. I think the shades, I think the little dual chromes that are in here are really gorgeous. I love how everything's kind of cohesive and just kind of flows together. You could do like these two rows together, and like these rows together, and like these rows together. They really made it nice and easy for the consumer to use, and I just really enjoyed this color story. I love the eye looks. There are other palettes from Nomad that I definitely prefer a lot more, but for me, I think they did a good job with this one. So coming at number 69, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics Chicago Speakeasy palette. Coming number 68, we do have the ColourPop Beauty and the Beast. This is this palette right here. Now, I did not expect to get this palette. It showed up at my door, and I was really shocked by it. But what really kind of took me by surprise is that when I first saw the color story, I was like, was not that impressed. But then when I actually played with it and I created my eye look, I was like, okay, ColourPop, hold up. Hold up. I think you really did something here. I feel like they really did kind of capture the essence of Belle. And while they still use like one pressed glitter in here, I really wish they would just get away from. It just worked. It just flowed. The colors flow really seamlessly together. It looks like Beauty and the Beast. It just captures the essence of the ballroom scene and just the characters. And I really had a lot of fun playing with this collection, particularly this palette. I was actually really quite impressed with, and I just feel like it's really beautiful. So coming in at number 68, we do the ColourPop Beauty and the Beast palette. Coming in number 67, I was not going to buy this palette, but then I saw so many people review it, and I was like, damn it, I kind of want to get it. And you know what? I'm glad I did, but I'm glad I got it during the Sephora sale because I saved 20% on it. But it is the Makeup by Mario. This is going to be the Moonlight Ethereal palette. Now, I really did enjoy the topper shades in here. Now, I know a lot of people out there did not really care for the topper shades because they felt that they were kind of underwhelming. I personally enjoyed them because I just felt like they worked really beautifully. These go on as toppers. They're not meant to stand out and be a shimmer by itself. It's meant to be a beautiful eye topper where you go like, I put like a color all over my lid, and then you can tap it on top just to make it like nice and sparkly, give it like a nice little wet feel. That's kind of what this is meant for. It's supposed to be a cool tone smoky eyeshadow palette, and I feel like that's exactly what it is. You get exactly what it's advertised as, and I think he did a really good job with this one. I'm really glad that I got it. I don't really use this side right here. I just primarily stick to like this shade in these kind of quadrants right here is kind of what I stick to because I feel like those are the most prettiest. But I feel like for a cool tone smoky palette, cool tone smoky eyeshadow palette, I think Makeup by Mario did a good job. So that is why number 67, we do have the Makeup by Mario Moonlight palette. Coming in at number 66, we do have the Glamlight Fresh Prince of Bel-Air palette. What's really funny about this is that they actually had a massive party with this palette. I did not go. I was invited super last minute, so I ended up not going to the party. But I'll tell you what, I still think that I still think it was a really cool looking party. I'm so glad that like Heather Austin and Angelica Nefix got to go. They said it was so much fun. And honestly, I feel like that party could have been like a lot of fun. Like it's like a throwback to the 90s. I was born in 89, so I'm a 90s baby. And I have to say, this is a really gorgeous color story. This reminded me so much of my childhood. This reminded me so much of sitting there watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air every single day, enjoying my dinner before I watched like Seinfeld and Friends. And I just really enjoyed this color story. I thought it was a really great nod to the 90s and just really good formula. This was a really nice formula in here, but I just feel like they did other palettes better that I like more. So that is why at number 66, we have the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air collaboration with Glamlight. Coming at number 65, we do have the Unearthly Cosmetics. This is going to be the Night Terror palette. Now, I bought this in a, Unearthly Cosmetics Halloween mystery box. So we had no idea what the palette or what anything was going to be. And then when I saw the palette, I kind of got disappointed because I was like, oh no. This is like a purple theme palette. I was like, I don't really play with purples that often. Like, what am I going to do? And then I got it, and then I played with it, and then I was like, okay. I think I'm really starting to like purple because I love the eye look that I created with here. There's 3 beautiful shimmer shades in here. A little bit more on the dual-esque side with 5 gorgeous mattes. Now, this palette just works so seamlessly. It's really gorgeous. I love that Night Terror shade so much. It's a mix between like purple, pink, and blue. But then I also think the shade right here is Haunted just pairs so beautifully with it, but so does shade Moonlight. They just really kind of coordinate together very nicely. They really do complement one another. You can do just a single eye look like this side to side, or you can create something a bit more universal. And I just feel like they did a really good job with this. I really enjoyed this palette from Unearthly. So that is why at number 65, we do have the Unearthly Cosmetics Night Terror palette. Coming number 64, we do have the Glamlight Chucky Good Guys palette. Now, I think this Chucky right here is super cute. Scary, cute, scary, cute. I really liked the idea of this palette, of it being like a doll inside a box. You open this up, you're going to have the lenticular motion feel, right? And then you open up and you're going to have this really pretty color story. It's very vibrant and very bright. And the formula in here is really luxurious. Like they did a really good job with the shimmers. I was actually quite impressed. The highlighter from this collection is still one of my favorite highlighters. I think they did such a good job. I had fun with this collection. I really did. I love my eye look, but I just feel like there are other palettes I think did a little bit better than this one. And I feel like you can only do so much with this color story. This palette definitely is geared for those who love a lot of color. So if you're a neutral lover, you might not like this palette, but I still think it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed playing with this. You can try to do somewhat neutral shades, but for me, I think they did a really good job kind of capturing the essence of Chucky and whatnot with this, but I feel like I liked other ones more. So that is why at number 64, we do have the Glamlight collaboration with Chucky, the Good Guys palette. Coming in at number 63, we do have the By Us Gardens Busters palette. First off, the outside packaging, I'm not a fan. I am not a fan. It looks like a kid style palette. I just was not impressed. I think the palette's too thick too. I think they could have done this with a smaller packaging because it's like a really thick palette. And then the color story on the inside, I just was not wowed by. There's too much space between the shades. But the reason why it's ranked higher is because the formula in here is actually really nice. It's a very nice formula. It reminds me so much of Odin's Eye formula, but I'm not surprised because it's the sister brand to Odin's Eye. And I have to say, I just felt like they could have done so much more. I really hope that By Us comes back with a thinner palette, everything a bit more cohesive looking, fits better, just isn't like kind of scattered, because this looks like a kid palette. This looks like something you'd find inside Claire's or like Limited 2 or stuff like that. You know what I mean? Nothing that you'd really find like on the shelves of like a beauty store, in my personal opinion. So I did rank it higher because I love the formula, I love the eye look, but I feel like they definitely could use some changes when it comes to their next palette. So coming in at number 63, we do have the By Us palette. We do the Garden Buster palettes from By Us Cosmetics. Coming in at number 62, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics. This is going to be the Ireland palette. First off, I love the outside packaging. I think it's so cool. I love the little velvet feel. And the color story on the inside is just gorgeous. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous color story. You guys know how much I love my greens. I'm a little bit more biased to it. I feel like the formula in here was actually quite beautiful. I think they did a really good job kind of capturing the essence of Ireland and the color story. And I have nothing bad to say about this palette. I prefer other ones over it, but I think it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the eye look. I just enjoyed how they captured it. I really hope they do Scotland next. I'm assuming Scotland would probably be very similar to this color story, but it's really pretty. It's a really pretty fun Irish, really pretty fun green eyeshadow palette that's inspired by Ireland. So coming in at number 62, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics Ireland palette. Coming at number 61, we do have Who's That Pokemon? This is Pokemon's collaboration with ColourPop, and I have to say, I loved this palette. I think they did such a good job with capturing the essence of Pokemon. This was my childhood right here, and you could just see all the different like Pokemon colors in here. Like I can see it. I can see the electrode. I can see the electric type, the water type, the fairy type, the ground type, the spirit type. Like there's so many different like water type. I could see it all in this. I feel like I love that they put the original Pokemon right here, the names, the color story. They just did an overall fantastic job. I was really impressed with this palette. I loved it so much. I think ColourPop really kind of stepped up their game this year. I've been noticing they've been posting less and less, but the palettes that they are creating are definitely a little bit more thoughtful, a little bit more exciting, and they've been doing really fun collabs, and I've been really impressed with them. So coming in at number 61, we do have the ColourPop Pokemon palette. And to round out the 60s, we do have the Odin's Eye Cosmetics Eternal Twilight palette. First off, the outside packaging is just so beautiful. And the color story on the inside is really, really, really fun. You can have like a light side and a dark side. I do kind of wish that things are a little bit more pushed together, so it's a little bit of a smaller palette and doesn't have so much space between the shades. But I still think the color story themselves are a lot of fun. I love this particular shade that they had right here. This is going to be like a multi-chrome, and this multi-chrome called Boulder was just so gorgeous. So fun to play with. The shimmers are really soft, really buttery, almost to the point that I feel like I'm going to break the shade by sticking my finger in it, but still so much fun to play with. I think they did a really good job with this one. So coming in at number 60, we do have the Odin's Eye Cosmetics Eternal Twilight palette. Okay, so coming in at number 59, we do have the Fantasy Cosmetica collaboration with Makeup Just for Fun. This is going to be the Enchanted Autumn palette. Now I will say this palette is more on the cool tone the cool tone side with like the cool tone muted color story. There are aspects of fall in here, but for me, when I look for fall palettes, I look for a little bit more bold colors with like oranges, yellows, greens, reds, browns, purples, and like some blues. For me, this is a little bit more on like the cool tone muted side with just more purples, a little bit of pink, and like green and gold, which is not bad. I feel like it's still a really pretty palette. I love the eye look I created. She made it very easy and amazing. She made it very easy to do a really pretty eye look with it. But I just kind of like the other color stories more than this. But I'm still really proud of my beautiful friend. She did such a good job, and it's always fun when you get to create a palette with one of your favorite brands. And I really did love the outside packaging and the color story and the eye look I did with this. So coming in number 59, we do have the Enchanted Autumn palette with Fantasy Cosmetica collaboration with Amanda from Makeup Just for Fun. Coming in number 58, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics. This is the 5 Fuji Lakes. This is going to be their rendition of a fall palette. First off, the packaging is so cool. It feels like it's a painted canvas. You can actually see and feel the texture of this. I thought it was a really cool concept. And the color story on the inside was definitely one that kind of threw me off because I felt like it looked more like a winter vibe, until I actually like stopped and looked at where they were at. This is the vibe of that area. This is going to be their idea of like a cool tone fall palette. So you're going to have the trees, you're going to have the leaves changing, and then you're going to have the lake with the snow. Really cool concept. You can really see it right here with the color story. So you're going to have that lake, you're going to have the leaves, and you're going to have the sky and the mountain. I feel like they did a really good job capturing that whole area. So that is why I was really impressed with it by the end of it. The shade Diamond Fuji was one of my favorites to work with. So freaking pretty. And I just really enjoyed this formula from them, and the packaging alone I thought was amazing. So coming in at number 58, we do have the Nomad 5 Fuji Lakes palette. Coming in number 57, we do have the Blend Bunny Cosmetics collaboration with Donnie Darkowitz. Now, I do not have the palette right here because I went ahead and I decluttered it and I passed it along to a friend who was really wanting to get their hands on the palette. For me, I thought it was really pretty. I thought that, you know, Taj did a really great job with picking out the color story, but to me, it came out right after the Ellis palette, and that was another rainbow palette. So I think there's like close to 4 rainbow S palettes that Blend Bunny launched this year, and I just felt like out of all of them, this one was my least favorite. The color story just was pretty, but just a palette that I won't realistically use as often because the colors are very similar to like the Ellis palette and the Blends palette and the Surge palette, and I just wasn't as inspired by this palette as I am by other ones, and I just knew someone out there would get a better use out of it than I would, so I went ahead and I passed that along. So that is why at number 57, we do have the Blend Bunny collaboration with Donnie Darkowitz. Coming at number 56, we do have the Blend Bunny collaboration with Ellis. Now, I did decide to keep this palette. At first, I was going to declutter it, but I decided to keep it. And the reason being is that this is an extension of the Blends palette. Now, I absolutely love my Blends palette. And to me, this was an extension of that palette. So you're going to have all those shades in here, but with different undertones, but an expanded version of it. So you can really have the ultimate rainbow palette with these gorgeous, beautiful duochrome shimmers that are going to be found right here in the middle. They can be used as eye looks. They can be used as eye shimmers. You guys can use them as highlighters. And I just feel like this definitely fit the vibe a little bit more. I loved just the different tones and variations. I also love the way this is laid out. It's so cohesive and just makes it very, very user-friendly. If you are a makeup artist, this is going to be the palette for you. But for me, I just feel like I like other ones a bit more, but I still think that they did an ultimate fantastic job with this palette. People loved it so much. I really enjoyed it. And if like I ever need a really pretty expanded rainbow palette, this is going to be the one I'm going to go to. So coming in at number 56, we do have the Ellis collaboration with Blend Bunny Cosmetics. Coming at number 55, we do have the Gourmand Girls Peach Perfect palette. Now, I really love the eye look that I created with this. This is a beautiful palette. This is like a palette that's transitioning between summer going into fall. I think Gourmand Girls did a really good job with this. I loved every second about this, especially the shade right here called Papa Don't Peach. This is such a pretty shade. I just like other ones more. That's all it comes down to, is I just like other ones more. I think Gourmand Girls really did a great job with the outside packaging to the colors from the inside. They really kind of told a story. I love the mix between the peach shades, the mint green shades, and those beautiful like duochrome and multi-chrome shimmers. It's really fun and gorgeous palette. I saw some of you out there loving this. I couldn't keep it in stock, and I was so proud of them. So coming in at number 55, we do have the Gourmand Girls Perfect Peach palette. So I just realized I'm halfway through the ranking and I completely left a palette out. I am so sorry. I did not mean to do that. I actually reviewed 106 palettes, and for some reason this one got forgotten, but I know exactly where I'm going to place it. So instead of redoing all the numbers, I'm just going to call it a like 55.1 or something like that, like 55 2.0. Like that way I can kind of still just kind of keep the numbers, but just know I really tried 106 palettes, but we're just getting a little thrown off here, but okay. So coming in at number 54, we do have the Inslee Rain Cosmetics. This is going to be the Happy Go Lucky palette. The Happy Go Lucky palette. First off, the outside packaging is super cute. I love their little whimsical nude. I love their little whimsical woodland creature series. I feel like this palette, out of the three ones they released so far, was my least favorite out of the three. It definitely is a spring vibe palette. I think that the shimmers in here really kind of bring it together. The other four are just a cool tone, muted shades. While they're cool, they're pretty, I just feel like the shimmers is what kind of makes it a little bit better for me. And I really hope they continue this series. I'm really excited to see what they will play with, or what I'm really excited to see what type of woodland creature they'll feature next. But for me, out of all the three woodland ones, this one was my least exciting, but I still love the eye look because I think it's a really pretty like springtime palette. So coming in at number 54, we do have the Inslee Rain Cosmetics Happy Go Lucky palette. Coming at number 53, we do have the Huda Beauty Icy Nude palette. Now this is the last palette that Huda Beauty is relaunching like this. They are no longer doing their big pan palettes. I think they're going to stick to like their 9-pan palettes, but they're sadly discontinuing these ones. And I don't know why, because I wish they would keep going with them. Now I had a lot of high hopes for this because I saw the reviews of them and I thought, oh my God, this would be so pretty. Then I got my hands on it. While the formula is really, really nice, it's the standard Huda Beauty formula, I just felt like the color story was just a little lackluster for me. I get that it's supposed to be an icy nude palette, so I get that. I guess I can see why they're fitting the theme of that. But for me, I guess I just wanted more for it being the last palette. If you're gonna do icy nude, do icy shades, do some nude shades, but throw in like some blues, some lavender, some icy pinks. You know what I mean? Like throw in a little bit more of those shades to make it more icy nude, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. So really pretty palette, but I definitely liked I liked other ones more than this one. So coming at number 53, we do have the Huda Beauty Icy Nude palette. Coming in number 52, we do have the Natasha Denona I Need a Warm palette. Now this palette went viral. Everybody wanted to get their hands on this palette, including myself, because this was a companion to the I Need a Nude palette, where that was more of a cool tone palette. This is their version of it, but with a warm tone. I did like this palette. I really did. I thought it was really pretty. I love the shade right here called Phenomenon, because this is a beautiful like dual chrome shade. Really, really, really pretty. I just like other ones more than this. This is just a perfect everyday neutral warm tone palette. Really, really, really pretty. Enjoyed the formula of this one, but for me, I just like other ones more. So coming at number 52, we do have the I Need a Warm palette from Natasha Denona. Coming at number 51, we did the Natasha Denona Golden palette. Now, I never had the original palette, the gold palette. I never owned that. But I was really excited when I saw they were doing a golden palette, because I love a good golden palette. Even this is still like a neutral eyeshadow palette, there's something about golds that just get me super excited. I think it's because I don't have a lot of gold colors in my collection. I think golds are absolutely gorgeous to work with, especially during like the Christmas and the New Year's Eve season. This is like a perfect palette for that. You can create an everyday, beautiful, like date night look using the gold shades. I feel like it can make it be really sultry and sophisticated and just like sexy. I don't know, there's something about these that I love making a smoky gold eyeshadow look at it, and I just really, really, really enjoy it. So that is why at number 51, we do the Natasha Denona Golden palette. Coming at number 50, we do have the ColourPop. This is going to be the Precious Metals palette. Now, this one actually took me by surprise because I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. Now, there are some pressed glitters in here, which you guys know are not my favorite, but I feel like you can get so many beautiful looks out of here. You have a cool tone neutral palette, you have a warm tone neutral palette, and you have a golden neutral palette in this. It definitely kind of encompasses all of them. You can create so many different looks. This is a perfect everyday neutral palette, but I just feel like with this particular palette, ColourPop really stepped up their formula. There's something about this that was just so beautiful. I love this palette. I love playing this palette. Even those pressed shitters, like the pressed shitter, even the pressed glitter shades in here, I genuinely did enjoy playing with. I was actually quite impressed. So coming in at number 50, we do the ColourPop Precious Metals palette. Coming at number 49, we do have the Unearthly Cosmetics. This is going to be the High Temp palette. Now, this is supposed to be summer palette, but for me, the color story screams fall. In my personal opinion, I see fall with this. But I have to say, I really loved the two eye looks I played with it. Now, I was a little bit more geared towards this top row right here because it looked like fall. But I had a lot of fun playing with this. The mattes are really pigmented. They blended really nicely. But the shimmers in here are just gorgeous and really creamy. And I feel like Unearthly did a really good job with the outside packaging to the color story on the inside. I feel like this definitely has like a summer/fall feel to it. I had a lot of fun with this. I love the eye looks it created. So that is why number 49, we do the Unearthly Cosmetics High Temp palette. Coming in at number 48, we do have the Death Cosmetics palette with Amy Loves Makeup. This color story is going to be a cool tone color story. There's gonna be some pops and colors in here, but they're definitely more on the muted side. I really had a lot of fun playing this palette. I think the outside packaging is gorgeous, but the colors from the inside is just really pretty. This shade right here called Lavender is a really gorgeous like multi-chrome shade that I feel like just doesn't do justice in person. Like I try to show it off as best as I can, and I feel like it can never capture truly just how gorgeous this shade is. And then we have the shade right here called Glam. Now I really wanted to love this shade, but this is going to be a pressed foil shade, and the foil for me just doesn't do it. It just kind of sticks to the finger. It's a little bit messy to work with, not the easiest to blend, but I still think that no matter what, I think Amy did such a fantastic job with this color story. I love the idea of a cool tone muted color story on the neutral side with little beautiful pops of colors. So that is why at number 48 we do have the depth collaboration with Amy Loves Makeup. Coming number 47, we do have Oompa Loompa Oompa Dee Doo. This is the Willy Wonka collaboration with Glamlight Cosmetics. First off, the outside packaging is so freaking cute. I love that it looks like a chocolate bar. You pull it out and you are gonna have a golden ticket on the inside. You're gonna have a little chocolate bar, and then you're gonna have this really pretty color story. It's gonna be mixed between purple and neutral, and I feel like this really does just kind of capture the essence of Willy Wonka. Like I can see it in here. I thought their formula was actually quite incredible. The mattes were super blendable, but the shimmers are just so creamy and buttery. I really enjoyed playing with this palette. I did 2 different eye looks, and I thought they just did such a great job with this particular collection. And I just feel like it kind of is a mix of those who love, it's a perfect palette for those who love color, but also love neutral as well. Really, really fun to play with. So that is why at number 47, we do have the Glamlight Willy Wonka collaboration. Coming in at number 46, we do have the Unearthly Cosmetics. This is going to be the Spring Magic palette. What I think is actually really fun about this palette is that Unearthly is known for making a lot of like, you know, their Halloween themed or horror themed dark aesthetics palettes, right? But they were able to create something really beautiful with this. This was such a stunning palette. This is definitely a springtime palette. I love the pops of colors in here, along with a little bit more of the neutral-ish shades as well for those who are not into as much color, but they just work so seamlessly. It's a really gorgeous color story. I see spring when I look at this, and I see just so many different looks I can create, so many different beautiful like shimmers, a little bit more dual chromes in here. I just feel like it's a lot of fun. It was a very fun palette to play with. So that is why at number 46, we do have the Spring Magic palette from Unearthly Cosmetics. Alrighty, so coming in at number 45, we have the Cleona Cosmetics. This is going to be the single shadows. Now, I actually was gifted this when I went to the Creator and Friends event back in April. I got to meet the owners of Cleona Cosmetics, and they put us some new singles, and I never played with like their singles before, so I was super excited. I was really impressed with how gorgeous these were. I saw Leah Janae make these amazing eye looks using these, and I was really inspired by that. So I really enjoyed the formula. It makes me want to try more products from this brand in terms of their eyeshadow palette, in terms of the eyeshadows, but then I actually got to experience their palette later on. But this right here was what really kind of set me off and really made me go, wow, this brand has some incredible stuff. So coming at number 45, we do have the Cleona singles. Coming in number 44, I saw this brand over on TikTok. This is Adriana Nicole Cosmetics I Am Everything palette. Now, she actually has this palette, but she also has all these shades right here available as single shades. Now, this shade right here is Ethereal. This shade has gone viral so many times because of how wet looking it is on the lid. Like, it looks super wet, but not only does it look wet, it is so multidimensional. You're going to see a shift between blue, purple, pink, a little bit of white reflect to it. It is so gorgeous. It feels so creamy and luxurious, and she has that with all of her shades. Like, here we have Visionary. This is another beautiful like multi-chrome. We have Perfection. This is another gorgeous shade. I feel like this brand is so underrated. It doesn't get a lot of hype here on YouTube, and I feel like she definitely deserves more hype. She's a really beautiful person. I really wanted to get my hands on like the neutral palette she just recently launched, but for me, this was my first impression of the brand. I was really taken back by it. So so coming number 44, we do the Adriana Nicole I Am Everything palette. Coming in number 43, we do have the Odin's Eye Cosmetics. This is going to be the matte singles. Now, they actually launched this past year so many different single shades. Now, this is all the matte versions of it, and this was really fun because I can curate so many different looks using these with all other shades that are in all other eyeshadow in my collection. I can mix with Adriana Nicole or the Cleona singles. I can do so much with these mattes. I feel like they're so vibrant, so buttery, and they blend like a dream. So that is why at number 43, we do have the matte singles from Odin's Eye because I really enjoyed playing with this palette. Coming in at number 42, we do have the Odin's Eye Cosmetics. This is going to be the Spring Dragon palette. This This is in collaboration with Judy. This was such a beautiful palette. Definitely a nice pastel palette that's perfect for the spring season. I love the dragon on here. I love the color story. I will say when it comes to pastels, they're not as easy to work with because you really have to blend them up because they can disappear rather quickly on the lid. I do kind of recommend putting down a color base underneath it to really help to grab onto that color. But I just felt like this palette was super fun, very cute, and really just great for the spring. I just kind of prefer other ones over this, but I still think they did a really good job. So coming in number 42, we do have this Spring Dragon palette in collaboration with Judy. Coming in number 41, we do have the Earthwood palette. This is Odin's Eye collaboration with Fancy Face, aka this is Odin's Eye collaboration with Tina, aka Fancy Face. I had the pleasure of meeting her in New Orleans. She's incredible, and I really loved this palette. Now, I actually did mix it with the next palette, which will be Annette's Mighty Monster one. I love mixing the shades, but I just feel like the deep tones in here are really beautiful. They blend really effortlessly on the lid. I really have fun creating a really fun look with this. I love the outside color. I love the outside color story. I love the color story. I love the outside packaging. I really feel like it mixes well with the first palette that Tina did create. But that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So coming number 41, we do have the Earthwood palette from Tina and Odin's Eye Cosmetics. Coming in at number 40, we do have Odin's Eye collaboration with Annette, aka Annette's Makeup Corner, and I love this Mighty Monster palette. Now, she did a wolf palette with her previous one, and I love that one so much, and then she got to create a second one, and I will say this color story is just gorgeous. I was obsessed with this shade and this shade. Oh my god, mixing the two together were so unbelievable. I was obsessed with it. I just feel like Annette did a really good job kind of bringing the color story to life, from the outside packaging to the color story on the inside. The formula was incredible, and I was just really happy with this one. So coming in number 40, we do have the Mighty Monster palette. This is going to be Odin's Eye collaboration with Annette. Coming in number 39, we do have Odin's Eye. This is going to be their single shimmers. So this is all their brand new single shadows they recently just launched this year, and I have to say, I love these. These are so inspiring, and I feel like the camera just never does these justice. You can mix and match however you want to. I try to color coordinate it to the best of my ability, although I did mix these two shades up because I was kind of practicing with something. But I will say I was really impressed with how amazing the formula is on this palette. You can create so many different looks. You can mix and match them. You can mix it with all the other palettes out there or all the matte shades I just showed you from Odin's, and I will say it was just a lot of fun. These are really beautiful, really inspiring, and I just I love playing with this palette. So coming in at number 39, we do have the Odin's Eye Cosmetics. We do the Odin's Eye Cosmetics Single Shimmer Shadows. Coming in number 38, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics. This is going to be the Polar Express palette. Now, I really enjoyed playing with this palette. I do love like a Christmas icy blue themed palette. Something about it that gets me so excited. And that's exactly what this palette did. It's so pretty. You have those beautiful icy tones, blue tones, you know, gold tones, red. It just really kind of captured the essence of like the outside packaging. Now, I've never seen the movie, but I really love the eye look that I created with this. You get a mix between cool tone and neutrals in here, and I just felt like it was a lot of fun. I think Nomad did a really good job, and the formula was actually quite incredible. So coming in at number 38, we do have the Polar Express palette from Nomad Cosmetics. Coming in at number 37, we do have the Vintage Neutral palettes from Attitude Cosmetics. One, the outside packaging is super cute. The color story on the inside was definitely really beautiful. This is going to be a great like springtime summer-esque palette. I love the shade right here called Glamour. This is a beautiful like multi-chrome in here. So fun to play with. I love the eye looks I created with this. I think I did 4 different eye looks when playing with these palettes. I had a lot of fun. I thought the formula was incredible. I think Attitude Cosmetics is one of those brands that people need to be paying attention to because I think they're definitely up and coming. Same with Fantasy Cosmetica. Really 2 amazing indie brands I think are really going to make a name for themselves next year. And I just was really impressed with this palette. I thought the color story was really gorgeous. I love the throwback to like, I think like it was supposed to be the 50s. Really fun, really pretty palette. So that is why at number 37, we do have the Vintage Neutral palette from Attitude Cosmetics. Coming in at number 36, we do have the Natasha Denona Roxa palette. Now this palette right here, if you guys do not know, almost got me in trouble. I talked about how this palette had a display at Ulta because a subscriber sent it to me, and it had the Roxa name. It said Roxa palette there. It was displayed there. It was public knowledge, and then I looked up the name Roxa, and you can see that it was trademarked back in February, along with like a thing called like Rosewood or something like that. There was a trademark for the different names that Natasha Denona filed. All I did was talk about it in my video, and they reached out to me and pretty much threatened me with legal action if I did not take that down, which is really kind of shocking given the fact that Trend Mood is notorious for releasing palettes early or releasing collections early without the brand you know, releasing it themselves, but I don't see them getting in trouble, but it is what it is. So I went into this review pretty much being like, I want to hate this. I went into this review pretty much being like, I want to hate this palette because, well, shit, like that was just kind of messed up. They went after someone as tiny as me for not even like showing you the palette look like. I just mentioned a name. But besides that, when I actually got my hands on this palette and played with it, god damn, did I fall in love. It's a beautiful palette. My gosh, it's a beautiful palette. The color story is incredible. The shimmers in here were so buttery and beautiful. They blended out really nicely in the lid, and I just really loved playing with this purple tone palette. I love the eye look that I created, and by the end of it, I could not hate it. I could not hate it. I really did love this palette. So regardless of my experience with the brand, I still think that they did a really, really, really good job with this. And I'm really excited to see what they come out with next. I was quite impressed. So coming in at number 36, we do have the Roxy palette from Natasha Denona. Coming in at number 35, we do have the Glaminatrix Cosmetics. This is going to be the Barely Basic palette. Now, this is my first time ever playing with this brand. And I have to say, I was actually quite impressed with it. This is definitely like a fall tone palette, but the mattes really kind of took me by surprise because they were so easy to work with. They blended like a dream, but these shimmers in here are just beautiful. The formula is incredibly nice. Now, I wish that they would have definitely changed how they did the pan size, because the pan size is a little bit too small for me, but I was really impressed. I always saw my friends talking about how great this brand was. I never had a chance to try it, so I finally did, and I was actually like, damn, why have I been sitting on this brand for so long? Because it really has some incredible formula, and I just thought this was a really cute fall-inspired palette. So coming in at number 35, we do have the Glaminatrix Barely Basic palette. Coming in at number 34, we do have Bella Beauté Bar. This is the Vamp palette. Now, I don't know why I took so long to try this brand, but holy crap, is this brand incredible. They have amazing, amazing formula. Everybody was talking about it this past year. I just never paid attention to it. And then finally, Angelica and like Betty and Heather was like, what are you doing? Look at this palette. And I was like, okay. And I'm so glad I did, because the formula is incredible. The formula is incredible. Now, the reason why it's lower on the list is because I just prefer other palettes over this one. This definitely has a lot more reds than I personally like. I still love the eye that I created with it. Don't get me wrong. But it definitely is a bit more on the redder side. And you guys know that I just find reds to be like intimidating. I'm not the biggest fan of it. But the reason why it's higher is because of this particular shade right here is this beautiful multi-chrome black. And then all these shades right here. And this black matte with red reflex to it is just top tier. Really, really gorgeous. I had a lot of fun playing with this, and I cannot wait to see what this brand does next. So coming in at number 34, we do have the Vamp palette from Bella Beauté Bar. Coming at number 34.1, this is the palette that I forgot to put in my ranking. I literally looked over and I saw it sitting on the side, and I was like, I forgot! But I cannot believe I forgot this, because I loved the eye look that I created with this. But this is the Gourmand Girls Calavera palette. Now, this palette sold out so quickly for Gourmand Girls. I was so incredibly happy for them. And when I saw the color story, I thought this was really beautiful, because this is a Halloween themed palette, or more like Day of the Dead. And I just thought this was so full of life, right? So full of life. Beautiful, bright, colorful shades with gorgeous multi-chromes in here. Like the shade right here called, this shade and this shade are just to die for. Again, we have a black matte with a little bit of red and green reflex to it. So gorgeous. And this could be fun. You can create Halloween looks with this, but you can create really fun, colorful eye looks with this too. It's a very multi-dimensional palette. I just really loved everything about this. I thought that Christina did such a great job with this palette. So that is why at number 34.1, we do have the Calavera palette from Gourmand Girls. Alrighty, so moving to number 33, we have the Unearthly Cosmetics. This is going to be the Gargoyle palette. First off, I think the outside packaging is super cute. It reminds me so much of, like, you know, Quasimodo and the Hunchback of Notre Dame, which, by the way, definitely should not be a kid movie, but somehow it is. But man, this color story on the inside is just so gorgeous. It's a cool tone, colorful palette. I just love the dark gothic aesthetics that are in this. It reminds me of like Dark Academia. It reminds me of like Dark Academy. It's just like dark, twisted. I'm going to go to a boarding school and become the next dragon rider. I don't know. That's kind of the vibes that I get from this right here. I really enjoyed playing with this. I love the eye looks that I created when playing this palette. I just think that Unearthly did such a phenomenal job with this. This was so hard to rank. Getting in like the top 30s is like the hardest for me, because I love all these palettes for different reasons. But this was gorgeous. So coming in number 33, we do have the Unearthly Cosmetics Gargoyle palette. Coming in number 32, Coming number 32, we do have the Paleo palette. This is going to be from Cliona Cosmetics. This is the first eyeshadow palette I've ever played with this brand. They were so kind enough to send me this in PR. And I have to say, I love the essay packaging, but the colors from the inside just reminds me of like the prehistoric times. Like I lived in that time, but it kind of just gives like the prehistoric vibes. This kind of reminds me if anyone played Neopets. There was a game called Destruction O Match, and it's like where you just pretty much have to like get rid of the blocks that are the same color. That's in so many different games out there, but that's kind of like the vibe I get. This kind of reminds me of like Neopets and whatnot. But I was really impressed with the formula. You're going to have these beautiful like neutral over here with beautiful blues in here as well. The shimmers are just incredible. They blend it so effortlessly, and I had such a hard time ranking this palette. I really, really loved how much I fell in love with this palette. Super cool, super great, and I really want to try more products from this brand. But coming in number 32, we have the Cliona Paleo palette. Coming in at number 31, we do have Lethal Cosmetics. This is Avatar: The Last Airbender. Now, when they did this collection, apparently they reformulated their shadows to be even better than what they were before. So this is my first time playing with their reformulated shadows, the reformulated shimmers and mattes, and I have to say I was so impressed. So at number 31, we do have the Air palette. This is my least favorite out of all 4 palettes, but man, are these shimmers just incredible. Now, it's really sad is that I really wanted to love this more than what I did. Only reason being is that I love Aang. He was my favorite Avatar. He was so funny. I just loved the show so much. The show made me laugh. The show made me angry. The show made me cry. And when Netflix did their live action version, I was so nervous, but they did such a phenomenal job retelling the story. And I feel like Lethal Cosmetics really kind of captured that in the essence of these palettes. So this was my least favorite out of the 4 elements, and I have to say I still really, really enjoyed this. So coming number 31, we do have the Air palette from Avatar: Last Airbender collaboration with Lethal Cosmetics. Coming in at number 30, we do have the Fire palette. This is from Avatar collaboration with Lethal, and I will say this color story really kind of took me by surprise, just because you guys know I'm not really into reds, but I really love the look I created with this. I thought it was really like beautiful. The orange with the yellow really kind of just made this a really pretty like sunset, sunrise moment, and I feel like it just kind of really captured the essence of the Fire Lord, Uzu, and whatnot in this palette. And I just think they did such a great job with Roku, Agnakai, the Dancing Dragons, Fire Lady, like everything about this, like Sozin's comment. Oh my gosh, that whole fight scene when Avatar was able to take away someone's ability to bend, the way that I got chills in that episode, I was like, he did what now? Tell me that 13-year-old, that 12-year-old boy was not the most powerful Avatar. Like, seriously. Like, Legend of Korra. Korra didn't really stand a chance next to Aang, just saying. But either way, I loved it so much. But this color story is really beautiful. This color story is really beautiful. So coming number 30, we do have the Fire palette from Avatar: Last Airbender collaboration with Lethal Cosmetics. Coming in at number 29, we do have the Earth palette. Now, this one right here, I thought I was going to love more because you guys know how much I love green. Green is one of my favorite shadows to play with. But surprisingly enough, the water palette overtook it. But I still love this palette so much. The way that each shade complements each other. The shade right here called Kyoshi just was so magnificent. It just blended so effortlessly into all the other shades. It's so high shine. You don't need an extended sort of glitter glue with it. I think that Lethal really knew what they were doing when they were creating the Earth palette right here. Like metal bending, 575, Lake Lyogi. You have Ba Sing Se, you have Badger Mole, Dailu, Omashi. I just loved everything about this palette. It's super freaking good. So coming in at number 29, we do have the Earth palette from Avatar collaboration with Lethal. And to round off the Avatar collab, we do have the water palette right here. Now, if I had to choose which element to have, it would have been the water element. And the only reason why, Corey wants the fire because he wants to be able to bend lightning and have blue fire. I want the water power because I want the ability to heal. But I also secretly want the ability to blood bend, which is a really rare quality to do, but Katara learns how to blood bend, and I just found that to be absolutely phenomenal. And I know that with Legend of Korra, they kind of go into more specialties, but I really love the idea of blood bending. So anyway, this color story was just phenomenal. I really realized throughout the year that I've really kind of fallen in love with blue eyeshadow. There's something about it that's just so beautiful, especially if you mix it with white, aqua, or purples. It's just gorgeous. So freaking gorgeous. Blue complements a lot of different eye colors out there, and for some reason it really helps to bring out mine, and I just really loved everything about this palette. I thought the color story was phenomenal, formula was phenomenal, and I just think they did such a good job. So coming in at number 28, we do have the water palette from Lethal Cosmetics collaboration with Avatar: The Last Airbender. Coming in at number 27, we do have Robert Welch's collaboration with Blend Bunny Cosmetics. This is going to be the Divination palette, and I have to say, I was so impressed with this palette. I think the color story was beautiful. First off, the outside packaging is everything, right? But the color story is absolutely gorgeous. Now, some say this was like a mix of like a rainbow palette. Kind of, but like I really don't see rainbow-esque with this. I definitely see like fall and Halloween kind of mixed into this. I think this definitely has a nice witchy vibe. I think Robert and Maggie did such an incredible job, not only with the color story, but the formula in here was spectacular. I was obsessed with the eye looks that I created when I'm playing with this. And I truly did not expect Robert Welch to watch my video, and he did. And I was like, oh my God, no, because I like messed up. And I just, I always get like so nervous if anyone watches my stuff, because I'm like, I suck at makeup, don't watch. But he did, and he was so incredibly sweet. And I just really thought this was such a gorgeous palette. Not only was it just beautifully laid out, but it's so easy, but it's so friendly too. But it's so friendly, but it's so beginner friendly as well. Like you can literally just go down the row to create a really beautiful shade. They made it so easy for those who might be intimidated by color to create really gorgeous shades in here. And I just thought they did such an incredible job. So coming in at number 27, we do have the Blend Bunny Cosmetics Divination palette. This is a collaboration between Blend Bunny and Robert Welch. Coming in at number 26, this palette got kicked out of the top 5. This palette I think came in third during like June when I did the ranking all the palettes I tried so far. This palette dropped a lot, but not because I don't love it. It's just I prefer other ones a bit more. And that is going to be the Wizard palette from Fantasy Cosmetica. So the outside packaging is gorgeous, but this color story I thought was so beautiful. This definitely looks like a night sky. You're gonna have those beautiful deep blues, the yellows, the light blues, this gorgeous like multi-chrome in here. I thought it was such a fun palette. I loved everything about this palette. You could definitely see how like that shift, you see it? It's so gorgeous. But the only reason I got knocked down is just because I prefer other shades over other palettes over this one. But it's really beautiful. I think this was a very unique color story for Fantasy Cosmetica compared to all the previous palettes that they launched. This was a little bit more my tone. I just really fell in love with it. The formula in here is incredible. This is another indie brand you guys have got to pay attention to, because I'm telling you, this brand is up and coming and it's going to become like the next viral indie brand. I can just feel it. So coming at number 26, we do have the Wizard palette from Fantasy Cosmetica. Coming at number 25, we do have the Inslee Rain Cosmetics. This is going to be the Underland palette. Now, I really love the color story in this. This is going to be like a dark, twisted play on Alice in Wonderland. I love the multi-chromes that are in here. They are so captivating. Like the shade right here called Shattered Glass. Oh my God, it's so gorgeous and it's so creamy. And man, does it just glide on the lid. And depending on what shade you put next to it would depend on like what type of color it takes. It's so beautiful. So beautiful. But then I also loved Wicked Wildflowers too. Like, another gorgeous multi-chrome. This was such a fun palette to play with. I love the different eye looks that I created with this. I love the color story, and I just think that Inslee Rain really kind of knew how to bring it. Not to mention, they definitely did have this to be a magnetic palette, so if you want to switch out the shades or replace shades, you are more than welcome to do so. But I saw this was a fun twist in Alice in Wonderland. Really, really pretty dark, twisted color story. I really enjoyed this one. So coming at number 25, we do have the Underland palette from Inslee Rain Cosmetics. Coming at number 24, we do have the Glamlight. This is the Trick or Treat palette. Now, I love the Trick or Treat movie. It's a B-rated horror movie. It came on Netflix so long ago, or at least when I saw it, came on Netflix so long ago. And it tells like 4 different stories that are kind of correlated, but like kind of not correlated. Some stories mix, but others do not. You're kind of like, okay. But anyway, you have this little demon right here called Sam. All Sam wants you to do is participate in the tradition of Halloween. That's all Sam wants. And if you don't, well, then you die. Essentially, it's the point of the movie, right? But I just love the way that they finally captured the essence of Sam, because Sam, I feel like, was such an underrated little Halloween character. I love Sam. I like it with the little sack on. When you take the little head off, well, it's an ugly little pumpkin face, but I still love him. Okay, so here we have the outside packaging. This is the lenticular motion. It's so freaking cute. But this color story on the inside is just chef's kiss when it comes to fall. Chef's kiss. Absolutely gorgeous. Really does capture the essence of Sam and Halloween in this palette. Now, this is one of those palettes where Glamlight really put some amazing formula. Like these shimmers were so buttery and creamy. I love the eye that I created. It's a really gorgeous palette. More on the basic side in terms of some of their other palettes, but still nonetheless absolutely gorgeous. I love the eye that I created. I loved reviewing this collection. That was a phenomenal collection. And I just really love how they captured the essence of Trick or Treat movie and Sam. And I just thought it was really, really pretty. So coming in at number 24, we do have the Glamlite Trick or Treat collection. We did the Glamlite Trick or Treat palette. Coming in at number 23, we do have the Inslee Rain Cosmetics. This is going to be the Nutty by Nature palette. This was started off, their 6-pan Woodland Whimsical Creatures series. And I think this is such a pretty color story. You're going to have 4 mattes and 2 multi-chromes. Now these multi-chromes are so gorgeous. They are going to take on the shade that you put next to it. So depending on what you put next to it or how the light hits would be depending on what shade you see. I thought this was super cute. I thought this was a great fall palette. I loved how they kind of kicked off the series with this. It's super cute. The shade right here called Secret Stash. It's so multi-dimensional. Right here, you guys probably see like a silver purple, but I see right now green, yellow, and gold reflected back at me. And this shade definitely has, and the shade Squirrely definitely has some green mixed into it as well. Very pretty. Had a lot of fun, and I absolutely love the eyeliner created with playing with this one. So coming number 23, we do have the Inslee Rain Nutty by Nature palette. Coming in number 22, this is probably my favorite Blends Bunny Cosmetics palette, but it is the Longing palette. First off, the outside packaging is just so gorgeous. But for me, it's the color story. This is so different from any other Blend Bunny Cosmetic palette. They created something so different. It's nice to see them come out with something that wasn't warm tone and that wasn't super colorful, but definitely a cool tone, muted color story with just beautiful pops of shimmers in here. This is such a gorgeous palette. You can wear this every single day if you wish to have a neutral look, but you could also create really beautiful like lavender looks, mint looks, silver looks, like brown, everyday neutral looks. It's so gorgeous. There's something about this palette that just really calls to me. I don't know if it's because of the way the meaning of the palette was for or the color story or what, but there's something about this that I find so unique for Blend Bunny Cosmetics. I was truly so captivated by this palette, and I really fell in love with it. And I still love it so much compared to so many of their other palettes that they launched. It's probably one of my absolute favorite. But I just love the cool tone, muted color story. Very unique for them. So that is why at number 22, we do have the Longing palette from Blend Bunny Cosmetics. Alrighty, coming in at number 21, we do have the Cool Trolls palette from Cosmic Brushes. Now, this is the first time I ever tried this brand, was with this palette and the Neutrals palette. And I was really mad at myself because apparently I sat on this brand for far too long when I didn't realize how amazing quality they have. So this is going to be their cool tone palette. This is going to be a cool tone palette. You're going to have those beautiful cool tone muted shades with just little pops of colors in here. I think the formula in here is incredible. Like I told you earlier, I'm really getting into blues, and I feel like the blues in here are phenomenal. Mixes very beautifully with the lavender shades in here, the gray shades in here, the silver shades and the black shades. It's a very, very gorgeous palette. The formula in here was incredible. It really took me by surprise. I did not expect that, and it's what really made me go, why have I not paid attention to this brand sooner? Because like, holy shit, this is phenomenal. I really, really loved the formula in here, the eye look, everything about this. I thought it was really, really pretty. So coming in at number 21, we do have the Cool Trolls palette from Cosmic Brushes. Another palette that got dethroned off its top spot is going to be the Lunar Beauty Moon Shroom palette. Now this palette is gorgeous. I will never take that away. This is such a gorgeous palette. I love the outside packaging. It's very cohesive with all the other palettes in the brand. But the color story to me is just so beautiful. I love how there's going to be really colorful like mustard yellows in here, olive greens, purples, emerald greens, this beautiful row of shimmers. It's just such a gorgeous palette. Now I ranked this, I think, number 3 earlier this year, but it definitely has dropped down because I do prefer other palettes over this. But I just feel like it's so gorgeous. I feel like it's such a gorgeous palette. I think it's great, kind of matches the vibe of the outside packaging. This is a great color story, and the formula in here was beautiful. I really loved everything about this palette. I love the top row with the mustards, but I also love these shades down here too. Really beautiful fall shades in my opinion. So coming in number 20, we do have the Moon Shroom palette from Lunar Beauty. Coming in number 19, we do have the Neutrals palette from Cosmic Brushes. Now this palette is beautiful. This is supposed to be a neutral palette, but it is, but it isn't, because it's very warm tone, but it has those beautiful multi-chromes in here. The multi-chromes in here really kind of take away the essence of it being neutral for me, because the multi-chromes, they shift depending on how you look at it. Like this is going to be an orange green. You guys are going to see orange, but in reality, it's also like green from here. Then you're going to have this beautiful golden shade, a green shade, this beautiful white multi-chrome that's going to shift between white, yellow, green in here. So beautiful, really fun palette. perfect for like every single day. But if you also want to spice it up and do a little bit of pops of colors, you have the availability to do so with this palette. A lot of fun. It really is what kicked off my love for this brand, and I think it has a nice fall aspects to it too. So coming in at number 19, we do have the Neutrals palette from Cosmic Brushes. Coming at number 18, we do have the Urban Neutrals palette from Attitude Cosmetics. Now, I really was shocked by how much I loved this palette because of the color story. This is a color story that I wouldn't necessarily feel like I would go to, but I really kind of gravitated more towards this. I love the cool tone muted shades in here. The shimmers are absolutely phenomenal. I love this black shade that has blue reflex to it. This gorgeous shade right here called Penthouse was just unbelievable to play with. We do have a Central Park with City, which is a beautiful multi-dimensional shade. This palette was so beautiful. I love the two different looks when creating with this. I created like a really cool tone multi gray-esque vibe. It was really pretty, and I really love the formula. I think that Attitude Cosmetics did such a good job with this. Really loved it. So coming in at number 18, we do have the Urban Neutral palette from Attitude Cosmetics. Coming at number 17, we do have the Nomad Cosmetics. This is the New Zealand Stargazing palette. And well, given everything that's going on in the world right now with all these drones that are flying over us, what a perfect palette to talk about, right? So this is the New Zealand Stargazer palette. This palette is so beautiful. I think this is the first time that Nomad did like multi-dimensional shades in here. This shade right here and this shade right here are just so beautiful. I loved everything about this palette. I love the beautiful purples. It really captures the essence of like a galaxy because you have those gold shades, those blue shades, the multi-dimensional shades, the black shades. It's just a really gorgeous, cohesive palette. I think they did such a phenomenal job. I was obsessed with my eye look, like obsessed with my eye look. I have recreated the eye look 2 more times after that, just particularly that particular one, because I loved everything about it. So this is probably Nomad's best palette. I think they launched to date. It was one of my absolute favorites from them. So coming in at number 17, we have the Nomad Cosmetics New Zealand Stargazer palette. Coming at number 16, we have the Inslee Rain Cosmetics. We have the Flourish palette. I love this outside packaging. I think it's so gorgeous. But the colors from the inside is so fun. It's so bright. It's so vibrant. It's so springtime. It just reminds me of flowers and being in a garden and want to dress up like a fairy and go frolicking throughout the field. Like that's the vibe I get with this, right? Really pretty. You can create so many different fun springtime looks with this palette. The formula was truly incredible. I love this palette more than I thought I would because I wasn't sure how I was going to create a really pretty look, but I ended up really loving the look I created with this. Really, really fun. So coming in at number 16, we do have the Flourish palette from Inslee Rain Cosmetics. Coming in number 15, we do have the Flutter palette. Now this palette definitely was my favorite out of the two because I just love the more like dark aesthetics, like the dark vibe I get with this. And when you open this up, like this color story is just gorgeous. This is again another muted color story, and I just feel like this is different from all the other palettes I have in my collection. I don't really have a color story necessarily like this, but to me it was the multi-chromes that she picked to go in this palette that really just captured my love for it. It's so pretty. It works so well together, and you can create really, really, really fun looks. You can do a little pop of color, but mostly you can do just like dark, twisted, muted colors. And I just think it's so pretty. Loved everything about this. So coming number 15, we do have the Flutter palette from Inslee Rain Cosmetics. Coming in at number 14, we do have the Lands of Enchantment palette from Inslee Rain. Now this is the first palette I ever tried from this brand, and I really fell in love with this palette because I was like, holy shit, the formula was everything. But for me, I love the icy winter vibe with this. I really realized about myself this past year that I love a good icy winter. I think it's so pretty. It's so aesthetic, and I love the snowy vibe. I think it's because I live in Florida. That's just something that just does not exist here. So I feel like that's why I love it so much more. And I feel like you can really get beautiful pastel icy shades in this palette. You have the beautiful deep shades, but then you have all the pastel shades with the gorgeous shimmers that are going to complement each one. I think Inslee Rain really did a great job. Even though it's supposed to be like a forest, but even supposed to be like an enchantment style palette. I see icy winter. It reminds me of the ColourPop Aurora Struck palette, and I feel like that's why I love this one so much. So coming in at number 14, we do have the Lands of Enchantment palette from Inslee Rain Cosmetics. Coming in at number 13 and getting bumped from the top spot this past year is the Inslee Rain Cosmetics. This is going to be the Groovy Garden palette. Now, I never actually realized when looking at this until recently that this is supposed to be like a you're on another world. That's the kind of vibe I get. Kind of creepy aesthetic. But I love the color story on the inside. Again, it's another muted color story. So you're going to have those beautiful bold colors at the bottom. There's beautiful bold colors right here with muted colors. Like, look at that. Muted cool tone shades. But for me, it's the shimmers. The shimmers are in here are gorgeous. Now, 2 of these shades right here started to break. This one did break. I was able to push it back together. But the rest of here are just beautiful. The dual chrome and multi-chromes that she put in this palette are just so gorgeous. Like Lava Lamp. Oh, I can never stop talking about Lava Lamp enough because it goes from green to orange to red. It's so beautiful. But then I also do love this shade right here called Free Spirit, because this is going to be a beautiful pink, blue, purple shift. And then you do have the shade right here called Moonchild. This is going to be between like a white, blue, green. It was so beautiful. And then you're going to have Jazz, which would be like a green pink shift to it. Again, another aesthetically pleasing palette. And then you're going to have the 2 shades right here called Retro and Vintage Vibes. They're going to be more just the shimmers. But I just thought it was a really fun springtime palette. Again, a lot of palettes that usually launch around that time are very bright and vibrant. This is more cool tone muted, and I thought it was really, really pretty. I really enjoyed playing with this one. So coming in at number 13, we have the Groovy Garden palette from Nancy Rain Cosmetics. Coming in at number 12, we do have the Gourmand Girls Frozen Kisses palette. I love this palette. It's probably my favorite palette that Gourmand Girls has launched to date besides Spooked. This is so pretty. This is perfect in time for the winter season. I think it matches my background so beautifully. I love the formula in here. I love the icy winter vibes, but I also love there's also deep vibes in like deep purples in here as well. Kind of reminds me of the Aurora Borealis, but I think that she did such a great job with the multi-chromes in here and the duochromes and just the mattes. They're so beautiful. You can definitely create so many different looks when playing with this, and I just really saw the icy winter vibes. I think this was so beautiful and so well done. It just really got me in the mood for the holiday season. So coming in at number 12, we do have the Frozen Kiss palette from Gourmand Girls. Coming in at number 11, we have Frosty the Snowman. Now this is my favorite palette this year in terms of Christmas and winter. I did rank it number 1, and I stand by that because there is something about this icy blue, icy pink lavender palette that just gets me so excited. Again, it matches my background so beautifully, but I feel like this is great for those who love Christmas but also love winter. I love having a good Christmas palette, don't get me wrong, but it's also nice having like a winter palette because I don't get to experience that here, and I feel like winter lasts a lot longer than Christmas does, and I feel like this really kind of just captures that in this. You're gonna have those beautiful icy baby blues, icy lavenders, baby pinks, whites, grays. It's just so aesthetically pleasing. I'm obsessed with this palette. I loved it so much. So that is why at number 11 we do have Frosty the Snowman collection with Frosty Snowman palette with ColourPop. Okay, guys, so now we're down to our last 10. Now, mind you, I absolutely love these palettes. Majority of them are what I tried after my first ranking, so I'm so excited to talk about them because I love them for their own reason. But coming number 10, we do have the Odin's Eye Solomon 2 Moon Wish palette. First off, the outside packaging, aesthetically pleasing. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I love that you can still see the sun, but the moon is what's taking place. And then you open the color story on the inside. I love like the nighttime sky vibes that I get with this. The golds, the blues, the purples, the pinks. It is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I was obsessed with my eye look, and I just see the night sky. I see stars, suns, moon. I feel like they really did kind of capture the essence of this, and I feel like it complements the first Solomon 2 palette beautifully. This was a great addition to it. I think Odin's Eye did such a fantastic job. I was obsessed with everything about this palette, and it was so hard for me to rank it at number 10 because I love everything about it, but I did have to place it somewhere, so it does fall at number 10. In cosmetics, the Odin's Eye Solomon 2 Moon Wish palette. Coming in at number 9, I played this palette 3 times now, but you guys only see me play with it once, and I feel like it didn't get a great review, but I still want to review it nonetheless, and that is the Realms of Fairy palette with Bella Beauté Bar collaboration with Sassy Fairy. Now, I did not do this Isle of Justice because I did it when I came off of work at like 10:30 at night, but I still want to get my review because I was so excited for this. But I love the blue shimmers. I don't have a lot of blue palettes like this, and this is just so multidimensional. You're gonna have the deep blue, the icy blues, the blues, the lavender blues, the blacks, the grays. It's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful palette. It's so cohesive and it kind of reminds me of winter, but I feel like I don't really have a lot of palettes like this in my collection that are just blue toned. And I realized I've really fallen in love with blues over the years. I don't know. I really fell in love with blues over the last year. I don't know why. I just really have. I think they're so beautiful to play with. They stand out a lot more, and I just really fell in love with this. And I think Sassy Fairy and Bella Beauté Bar did such a phenomenal job with this. The formula was incredible. So coming in at number 9, we do the Realms of Fairy. This is the Bella Beauté Bar collaboration with Sassy Fairy. Coming in at number 8, we do have the Glamlight Halloween 2 palette. First off, the packaging. Like, look at how gorgeous this packaging is. It's so beautiful. I love the aesthetics of this. You open this up and you're going to have this beautiful lenticular motion palette. Crying, not crying, crying, not crying, right? Now, what I love about this palette was I thought I was going to love the Trick or Treat palette more than I love this one. No, there's something about this color story that is just gorgeous. Now, everybody said this was comparable to like the Frosted Flake palette, but I think it's so much more. The oranges in here, the blues in here, the grays and the blacks are just so aesthetically pleasing. I was obsessed with the eye look that it created, that it really made me fall in love with this. And I feel like this one of Glamlight's top tier formula was in here. It was so beautiful, so fun to play with. And you can create so many different looks with this. There's something about this just got me so exciting, from the outside packaging to the color story to the formula. I thought it was incredible. So that is why at number 8, we do have the Halloween 2 palette. This is in collaboration with Glamlight Cosmetics. Coming at number 7, we do have the Fantasy Cosmetica. This is going to be the Cradled in Ice palette. Now, this is supposed to be like a dragon themed palette. And the color story in here, again, is just so beautiful. Clearly, I have a theme right now, right? Like, this is all you guys are seeing. But there's a reason why. You have the beautiful icy silvers, icy lavenders, baby pinks, blues, purples. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. I love the icy lavender vibe that I created when playing with this palette. I was obsessed with my eye look. I thought it was absolutely gorgeous. But I think the formula in here was just chef's kiss. I think Fantasy Cosmetica really, really, really brought it. They always have, when they started with the Druid palette, they always had great formula. But as of lately, I feel like it's even more so. So gorgeous. Had so much fun playing with this one. So that is why at number 7, we do have the Cradled in Ice palette from Fantasy Cosmetica. Number 6, we do have the Metamorph palette from Artitude Cosmetics. First off, the packaging, gorgeous. The graphic artist actually showed how she created this palette, or like design of it. So stunning. I really wanted to create a look just like this, and I think I did somewhat similar to it, but I really love this color story. You're going to have a mix between beautiful multichromes and duochromes. You're going to have blues, you're going to have greens, you're going to have pinks, you're going to have grays, you're going to have blacks. These shades right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, are so captivating, especially these two right here are the beautiful multichromes. Oh my god, the way they shift is just unbelievable. I love the shade right here called Cocoon. This is a beautiful like duochrome shimmer between blue, pink, and purple. Very, very gorgeous. And then you have the shade right here called Horal. This just glides on. Like, look at that deep purple pink, absolutely stunning, along with the shade called Butterfly. I mean, like, seriously, these shimmers just glided on the lid so effortlessly. They just look like foil, but they're not. They blended so well together. I think they really did such a good job, and this is what really feel like put Artitude Cosmetics on the map for me, and that's why I said that this is the brand to pay attention to, because the formula is top tiers. So coming in at number 6, we do have the Metamorph palette from Artitude Cosmetics. Coming in at number 5, we do have the Harvest of Souls palette. This is with Fantasy Cosmetica, and let me tell you, this palette was just stunning. It was supposed to be their holiday rendition, and this palette sold out because it's just incredible. You could do so many different looks with this. I can see Halloween, but like at the same time I don't see Halloween, but like I can. But the shimmer shades in here were just like my absolute favorite. Like, you have the shade Obsession, so beautiful. We have Schemes. I love Schemes on this. This can make a pressed foil shade right here, so stunning on the lid. I loved Immortality. Oh my god, so stunning. And then we have Ensnare the Senses. I don't know. I was really obsessed. I thought this was such a gorgeous palette. I really loved what Fantasy Cosmetica did with this when it came to the Harvest of Souls. I feel like they really kind of knew what they were doing. And I just really loved how versatile this palette is. You can create so many different looks with this. So that is why at number 5, we do have the Harvest of Souls with Fantasy Cosmetica. Okay, so we're down to our last 4 palettes. And this is where it got hard for me because I love them so much. but I had to narrow them down. So coming in number 4, we do have the What the Fox palette. Now I know this is only a 6-pan palette, and typically I wouldn't go for palettes like this, but the way that this color story just flows so effortlessly, I can't get over it. I am obsessed with the eye look that I created. I will recreate that look over and over and over again. They just blend and they work so cohesively together. Like every single shade in here is just stunning. Like this shade right here called Clever. Oh my God, this multi-chrome is just to die for, and it blends so beautifully with the shade called Vixen. Like these two together are just so stunning. Like you guys, I don't know if you guys see the true quality of it, but this is like a white, purple, blue, and this is going to be like a green, gold, red, and it's just so pretty, and the way they just mix very well together. You guys were obsessed with my eye look just as much as I was. Because I remember I wore it and you guys were like, what is that? When I showed you guys were like, oh my God, I have to recreate that. It's such a beautiful palette. Really beautiful palette, great formula. Really had a lot of fun with this one. I really became obsessed. So coming number 4, we do have the What the Fox palette from Inslee Rain Cosmetics. Coming in at number 3, we do have the Cosmic Brushes. This is going to be the Undergrowth palette. Now this palette is just stunning. If you love a good green olive tone palette, this is going to be for you. Let me tell you, the color story in here is just so gorgeous. I was obsessed. This is a perfect olive green tone palette. This has everything I'm looking for when it comes to that. The formula is incredible. The mattes blend seamlessly, but it's the olive tone shimmers that are just like, they get me so excited. Like this shade right here called Undergrowth. Beautiful, beautiful olive shimmer. I am obsessed with this. I've used this shade so much. So much. I won't be surprised if I'm hitting pan on it soon. I loved everything about this palette. It sucks I never got to show you guys a review. I definitely will. Maybe coming up, I do like a shop my stash and I'll show you guys the eye look that I created in that. But I loved everything. I thought the formula was incredible. It made me really fall in love with this brand. I just thought if you loved olive tone, you will love this. So coming in at number 3, we do have the Cosmic Brushes Undergrowth palette. Gorgeous. Coming in at number 2, this was so hard for me because I've gone back and forth between these two nonstop, but I keep gravitating to one in particular. And I think it's just because it came down to what eye look did I love more. And I feel like that's why it came down to who got first place and who got second place. So coming in second place, we do have the It in Your Eyes palette from Inslee Rain Cosmetics. First off, the packaging, I'm obsessed. Really beautiful. But it's this color story. This color story is just so breathtakingly gorgeous. It's going to be a cool tone, muted color story with gorgeous multi-chromes in here. You can create so many different looks. You can create a beautiful olive green eyeshadow look. You can create an icy lavender look. You can create a neutral look. You can create a multi-chrome look. You can do a sunflower yellow style look. You can do so much of this. It's a very versatile palette. I would not be surprised, like I said, if this is the number 1 for so many people, because it is the number 1 Inslee Rain in my opinion. It is so gorgeous. It's so universal. You can create so many different gorgeous shades. If you love neutrals or you love colors, you will absolutely love this. The formula is just so incredible. I was obsessed with this. I still am. I keep going back to this. I think this is probably the best palette Inslee Rain has launched to date, and I just loved every single aspect of this palette. So beautiful. It was so hard to rank, but I did. I had to rank it, and it just came down to what eye looks that I like more. So coming in number two, we do have the Inslee Rain Light in Your Eyes palette. So coming number 1 is this one palette that I keep going back to time and time again. It's probably one of my favorite eye looks I have ever created was with this particular palette, and that is the Bella Beauté Bar Poison Garden palette. Now, I know I had never intended to buy this palette. They did send it to me in PR because I was like, holy shit, this is way too expensive. And then when I tried the quality of it, I was like, that is why. That is why. This palette is just beautiful. I cannot get over how gorgeous this palette is. I love everything about it. I love that it has fall colors in here, but I also love that it has Halloween colors in here, but I also love the multi-chromes. The multi-chromes are so inspirational for me. Truly so inspirational. I love the shade right here called Belladonna. This is like a mix between black, green, purple, gold. Like, I feel like nothing can give this shade the moment that it deserves because it's so stunning and it mixes so well with orange. It's so beautiful. But then you have the shade right here called Poison Hummus, and this is gonna be like a black multi-dimensional that's gonna have blue, green, pink reflex to it as well. Stunning, right? But then you also have Wolfsbane, which is gonna be like this beautiful holochrome shade where it's gonna be like almost like rainbow-esque, but you're gonna see purple, blue, and teal in that shade. It is absolutely stunning. But then you also have Angels something right here, this beautiful like orange green shade. Like, it's so pretty. The formula is just top tier. One of my favorite palettes I've played with to this day. One of my favorite eye looks I've ever played with to this day. It's so beautiful. Plus it has a black matte with blue reflex in it. You're gonna have beautiful cool tone muted shades in here as well. It's just stunning. I loved everything about this palette, and I've gone to it time and time again, and I've really fallen in love with this palette so much. So that is why at number 1 we do have the Poison Garden palette from Bella Beauté Bar. So those are all 106 palettes that I tried this year. We tried a lot. A lot of it was indie, but oh my gosh, I absolutely love doing this. I love trying different palettes out there. As you guys can see, I definitely have a preference in terms of color story, but this was so much fun. So much fun. Like I said, I did just do a massive eyeshadow palette collection in Declutter. If you guys do want to go check that out, I got rid of over 100 palettes, and I'm intending to do more in the future. But that, my most beautiful friends, is it for today's video. Please let me know in the comments below, what was your favorite palette of the year? I want to hear your least favorite and your most favorite, because I want to see if I have those and how they compare. So with that said, guys, that is it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please make sure you guys give this video a cheeky thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you guys have not already. So I do post 3 to 4 videos every single week. Make sure you guys head over to my other channels, R for Life. You guys get to see my cool, wonderful adventures with my amazing husband, Corey. And as always, the biggest thank you goes to beautiful, wonderful Patreon members you guys see right here. Thank you guys so much for everything. And to my subscribers and viewers, thank you guys so much for being here. Whether you guys like this video, you guys thumbs down this video, you guys subscribed, you guys did not subscribe, either way, thank you guys so much for being here. I love and appreciate each and every single one of you. So with that said, guys, I love you, and I'll see you guys in my very next video.